BL Sports, where we review all the best sports clips from around the world. If this is your first time checking out a video, please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. Right now, we're watching a clip of First Things First, talking about Giannis and Dame, and are they being too nice? Apparently, that's what Shaq said to Dame during the All-Star break, and I wanted to unpack this a bit because I think it's always curious as to this notion that in order to be a leader, in order to be really good, you have to be mean, which I understand that works for some people, but I reject that notion. Look no further than, say, a Steph Curry. But one could always make the argument that Steph was able to be Steph because he had someone like a Draymond Green, which is a valid point. But I do want to hear what these guys have to say, and then we can go break it down from there. Let's get into it.
It was good advice from Shaq. He's absolutely right. I mean, Giannis, Doc, and Dame are going to take a hit if they don't at least get to the finals. We know Doc's going to be criticized, right? If they somehow got beat in the second round again, Dame will be criticized because Dame was he was safe in Portland. We knew they weren't good enough to win. Right. Nobody cared that he wasn't defending. He could just go out there and get 30 and everybody gives him love. And Giannis, even though he's got the one title, we thought, could this guy ever get himself to the GOAT conversation? Now nobody's really thinking that, but he's got rings to win, and you got a great teammate in Dame. I think, though, one of their challenges there, I've said this about today's players. A lot of them, they work really hard, but they work hard on what they want to work on, and they work hard on what they're already good at in a lot of cases. A lot of today's players, including the stars, they don't add stuff or they don't work at what they don't like or what they don't want to do. And when you watch the Bucks, we all thought the Giannis Dame pick and roll would be great. They don't run it that much, all right?
That's coaching, right?
Some of it's coaching, some of it's Giannis has not been rolling as much sometimes to the basket where obviously he could do damage. He pops.
Yeah, it's not just coaching because the players, if that's what they want to do, that's what they will do, right? This isn't necessarily football where the play caller is calling the plays like that. Like, you get in the flow. Like, the coach will lay down the philosophy, and yeah, they have plays that they run and this whole approach to the offense and the game. But when you're in the flow of the game, like, the coach isn't just pulling all the strings like that. It's going to be the players. That's why basketball is a very interesting sport when it comes to those sort of things. And if Dame and Giannis, that's what they want to do all day, then that's what they will do. If they never want to do it, then that's what they're not going to do it. So this really comes down to Giannis and Dame's chemistry with each other. I mean, like, really, that's what it really comes down to more than anything. And I think that word gets thrown out way too frequently in sports. I always talk about chemistry, quarterbacks and their wide receivers, and chemistry and stuff like that. But in basketball, it's such this, like, you're playing like music. This is what this is, a violin, by the way. You're playing music while you're running up and down the court. Like, it's just such this free-flowing sport that just goes back and forth, left and right, up and down, that it is very, there is a genuine flow to it. So, again, a coach can lay this all out, but a coach is not choosing when a player shoots versus when they don't, when they drive to the basket versus when they don't. Like, it's the players have a ton of autonomy. It's not like football as much where it's like, you are going to run this route. This is the route that I am calling. This is what you're going to do. And it's kind of like how Patrick Mahomes has the idea of, like, okay, these are my options, my first, second, third reads, and I can do this. That's not necessarily the way how basketball works. Again, sometimes there are very set plays, right? Out of a timeout, we're doing this, we're looking for Steph to shoot. Like, then it becomes kind of more football based. But when it is just a flow of the game, not so much.
Even though he's not a shooter. So I think they need to, that's what I'm talking about with him, work on some of that interior scoring. He was interior scoring when he had 64. And Dame, what Shaq could have also said is, look, I know you've never really been a defender, but Dame, to win championships, you got to defend. Well, and I think Dame's got to buckle down. So he don't really want to defend. He got to buckle down on defense. Giannis doesn't really want to roll to the basket and stuff like that. He got to start doing that. They got to do, that's how they lead. Lead by example and have these guys watch you. Then you can cuss them out or whatever Shaq said you need to do.
So, Wilds, I think the Bucks stock is too low right now.
Oh.
I mean, I think 9 months ago, you were bringing a live deer to the set because you believed in them that much before they got Dame. After they got Dame, I'm going to reveal something to the audience. One of the reasons we were like, you know what, we'll do our NBA picks once football's over. One of the reasons was we talked about it and we were like, I think we all like Milwaukee, and that's not you. We're obviously not going to pick someone we don't believe in, and it wasn't going to create a lot of intrigue if we all had the same team. So we said, let's wait and see. And now I know you would pick Denver, and I think and I don't think you'd pick Milwaukee to be playing Denver. And I know you. I mean, my guess is
Boston
Nets Clippers like usual, but but not Milwaukee.
No.
And I think that ultimately.
So you got Milwaukee.
I think right now they are a valuable stock. I think right now they have been I think right now America believes in, for example, the Clippers way more than they believe in Milwaukee. I think right now, obviously, everyone believes in Boston more than they believe in Milwaukee, even though we haven't seen Boston do it. We have seen Giannis do it.
Yeah.
And so I'm not acting like it's perfect, and there haven't been serious warning signs. Most notably, their defensive rating has plummeted, and we knew it would get worse when you go from Drew to Dame. But I don't know if we knew it would have this significant of a drop-off. But what they do have that they didn't have last year is, at the end of these playoff games, someone who just go get a bucket in a way different than Giannis can, and Dame can still do that. So I don't think Doc's the perfect coach, and I don't think they're a perfect team. But I think they are being kind of like, it hasn't looked exactly the way we wanted it to, therefore. And I still think they are as dangerous as anyone in the East.
So here's the way that I look at it. And I don't think it's fair to put this on Dame. And they say Dame is going to get criticized. I understand that he's going to get criticized. But it's just not fair to criticize a player near the end of their career when they're clearly just not who they were 5 years ago and say you should be able to find a way. It's just not fair. If Steph, unfortunately, just was never able to win any championships, and then he finally left Golden State and went to this team and they would just blame Steph. Steph is clearly not a winner. Steph can't find a way. No, Steph is just older now. Steph is just not who he was in 2017. And the same thing goes for Dame. So this is not on Dame. This is more on Giannis than anything. And again, I never really like to put it on any individual player, quite honestly, because it can't just all come down to one player. When LeBron James lost the series to the Golden State Warriors on multiple occasions, you can't just blame LeBron, right? LeBron puts up 50. You can't just say, well, he should have put up 60. He had 12 rebounds, but he should have had 15 rebounds. You could only do so much as one individual player. So this idea that we just are going to blame Dame, I think is silly, and that he's going to get criticism. The people that do that, I just don't take seriously. Honestly, it's just either people in the media that have never played ball a day in their life or just don't understand, or it's fans that are just can't. They're too fanatical. They're just too extreme, where they just think that their team or their player should just be able to succeed no matter what. And if they don't succeed, it's just like a moral failing on their part. And that's just not the way it works. It's just not. So I really wholeheartedly disagree with this. The Bucks are just mismanaged at this point. Okay? I mean, they just did it wrong from the jump. Okay? Yes, they're competitive, but that's not what they were trying to build right now. They were trying to build a powerhouse. They needed to find a way to get Dame. It's one thing if Dame was 27 years old, okay? But he's not, as I've already established. They needed to figure out a way how to get Dame without giving up all these pieces, without giving up a Drew Holiday. They needed to add more. What they did when they acquired him, they gave up and gained. So let's say in order to win, the NBA championship, they needed to get to plus 10, and they were sitting at, a plus 7. So they needed 3 more points to be able to notch up to plus 10 and hooray, we win. What they did is the acquisition only got them to a plus 8, because what they gave up, they lost a few points, and then they got Damian Lillard. So they ended up being a net positive, but it wasn't enough. Where if they just added Dame, boom, they would have gotten up to the plus 10 potentially. And again, these are made up numbers. I'm just trying to point, a very like visual, concrete example. And so that's the issue, right? It's kind of like perfect example. And again, I know it's easier said than done because Dame needed to be traded for and whatnot, but it's not unlike what happened with the Golden State Warriors, right? They added Kevin Durant, and sure, they had to, kind of clear up some pieces, but it was still enough to clearly put them over the hump. Kevin Durant was also in his prime, and they didn't have to give up a Draymond Green, a Klay Thompson. That's essentially what the Bucks did. They said, okay, we're going to give up Draymond Green to get Kevin Durant. That's not a guaranteed championship team. Draymond Green is crucial for the Warriors' run. Not here to debate that with you guys right now. That's not even remotely up for debate. But that's in essence what the Bucks did. I keep wanting to call them the Buccaneers. That's what the Bucks did. The Milwaukee Bucks. And so that's kind of the problem. So you didn't really build this powerhouse, this dominant force. You built a good team, a competitive team, but not the team that's like, that's right. You have to go through us right now. Just not what it is. And again, you're doing it now. It's also similar to how the Suns acquired Kevin Durant right now, and it's like, this isn't 2017. This is 2024. They're just not the same. And even though they have moments in games where they are brilliant, they just can't do it at the same volume, at the same clip, at the same intensity. They just don't have it. They just don't. And that's just the reality. So I just don't think that Dame should be getting the blame. And even Giannis, for that matter, honestly. I could understand that more blame should be on Giannis. If you have to blame a player, I definitely blame more Giannis. And I was hard on Doc Rivers before, but I wouldn't even blame Doc Rivers. Like, this is just a ridiculous position to put anyone in. Okay, here's this team. We fired the coach. Here's a bunch of players. You better win a championship. It's like, what? Like, what are you talking about? Like, where is this coming from right now? And again, maybe if you had Giannis and Dame in their absolute primes, physical primes, everything, then I would say, like, okay, maybe. But if Milwaukee was going to make this trade, they should have made sure that they had their coach locked and loaded. You're better off having the previous coach because at least he was embedded with the DNA of the Bucks, has the championship with the Bucks, has the experience with Giannis, the leader of the team. It's just different. You're playing with a bunch of substitute teachers. Seriously, I mean that's really what it feels like. The original coach is a substitute teacher. He got fired, lasted a few months. Okay, goodbye. Now you're bringing in Doc, who sure is an established coach. He's still a substitute teacher. I mean, that's just what it really comes down to. He's not a Buck. He's not the Milwaukee Bucks coach. Here I am. I mean, come on. And again, you bring him in and say, okay, great, you have a few months to win a championship. Go ahead. I mean, he hasn't proven to be able to do that when he's had seasons with the same players and teams. Why is he going to be able to do it now? It's just kind of absurd. It's unfair expectations, and I don't know where they're coming from. So I think really blame the Bucks, blame the management, the people who are really making these final decisions, and the construction of the team. And I think that's actually where the blame goes more than anything. And because this is messy, and I know I'm not like saying that they're a disaster and it's ridiculous and they're just going to fail or that they have no chance at winning, but it's definitely, if I'm a Bucks fan, I'm rooting for the Bucks. I don't feel like strong about it. I don't feel confident. I don't feel good. I don't feel like everything is under control or it's okay. They'll be able to step up come time playoffs. It's not what I feel personally. Because then Dame and Giannis are already going back and forth where one is like, it's his team. No, it's his team. It's his team. No, it's his team. Like, it's such a weird thing for Giannis to even say. Oh, it's Dame's team. That's not true. Like, what are you even talking about? And honestly, the way how that lands isn't even like him just being nice or kind or trying to talk Dame up. It feels more like actually kind of like, this isn't my team. This is Dame's team. If we lose, man, blame it on Dame, man. I'm good. I can win. It's just, I don't know. Like, it just lands weird. I mean, it really does. If Giannis was supposed to be like the next evolution of, say, like a LeBron James and Michael Jordan, and like Bruce said, he's supposed to be, we were talking about him potentially being a GOAT in the conversation one day. Like, him making those types of statements is weird. At best, maybe if you really want to try to bring Dame into the fold, you just say there are no leader. There is no one person's team. We are just one unit collectively. I don't know. You just phrase it a little differently, or you say it's me and Dame love to lead. We're both natural born leaders. We both see it as our team, and it really works well. We love it. This is great. Like, I don't know, just anything but like, no, it's his team. It's just weird. It just lands very, very weird. You need to have a captain. You need to have a leader. And that's not necessarily it. And again, we know multiple leaders can work well because you have Steph and Draymond. They're two different types of leaders. And it's just, but again, that is a very well-run, organized, very well-run organization with players that were in their primes at the time, collectively too. That ends up being a major difference, and a well-established coach who's now been there for years and who has also won multiple championships as a player, who has the utmost respect from the players, who knows how to be intense, but then also a player's coach. Like, it was really just a perfect balance. The Bucks have none of that. Truly, none of that. So I don't know why we would expect them to now like win like they have that. Just the way it goes. But what are your thoughts? I would absolutely love to hear your thoughts on this one. I read every single comment. So if you think what I'm saying is the most ridiculous thing you've ever heard, please let me know in the comments below. If you think what I'm saying is the most amazing thing, then definitely please let me know. Either way, let's get into some discussions. Let's get into some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of, and I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm, and I would greatly, greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much, and see you next time.